Namaskar. Hello and welcome to 𝗣𝗽𝗀𝘀𝘆 channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Another day, another threat to Trump's life. This is what happened in Arizona. We're going to bring you an up-to-date information on that, and also what has been happening in the just concluded Democratic National Convention, DNC, that concluded in Chicago. Lots of rioting, lots of noise, lots of flag burning, and much more. To understand all these things, let's welcome Priyanka Deo. Priyanka, namaskar and welcome to 𝗣𝗽𝗀𝘀𝘆 channel. How are you?
Namaste. Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you, Sree?
I'm doing well, Priyanka. Well, Chicago is sort of your neck of the woods, if you will. Maybe you're 2-3 hours away, but it's still, if between the two of us, who can identify with Chicago, I think you will be the one who will be identifying with Chicago. Nothing good to say, unfortunately, but that's okay. Let's not talk about that. But first, I want to start by telling our viewers what happened in Arizona today, and just take a quick 8-10 seconds video. I'm just going to play that for you. Here we go.
Kill you.
Yeah.
The
you know what? Can I tell you something?
Sure.
We're in danger standing here talking. So let's not talk any longer. No, I know about it, but they don't want me standing here. They don't want you standing here either. Have a good time. Thank you very much.
Okay. So that was it. And essentially what happened was an Arizona person threatened Trump, and I think they haven't hunted it down, but looks like he put out a video message and then he kind of galloped from wherever he was. But this represents a real threat to Trump's life. I mean, when you are on the campaign, you are going to be having to meet people. In fact, yesterday, I think what happened was he stepped out of his bulletproof cage. I mean, you can't see it because it's transparent, but it's actually covered on 3 sides wherever his pulpit is. And he actually came down from the stage because a person who was watching fainted, and he wanted to come and see and make sure that that person was all right. So you're seeing a human side of Trump also. So I just want you to start, and then I have a couple of more observations. Over to you, Priyanka.
What was that?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You have the floor.
I heard some extra noise. Not sure what that was. I think maybe that was on my end, but if it was, apologies for that. I think, the overview of the DNC for me, just being a Chicago native, the first thing I want to say is I grew up in Chicago. I mean, I went to school in Chicago. I went to high school in Chicago. I went to college in Illinois. Chicago is a very changed city from when I was in school, when I was in high school. It's very different from the landscape of what it was, in 2006, 2010, and for the bad. I mean, you don't feel safe anymore in downtown. People are not comfortable. Women are not comfortable walking around there past 9 o'clock at night. There's been a drop in the number of police. It's not a great situation. And somebody who's been in Chicago and seen Chicago, to see it like what it is now, it's actually pretty depressing. It makes you feel really sad that is this what our country is coming down to. With that in mind, you have to keep, you have to look at policy. You have to look at the job of a president is to look after policy. What I want to see, and I always vote for, as I said before, I voted Democrat before, I voted Republican before. The DNC just took place, but I really wanted to see policy here. And it just seemed to be, compared to Trump's RNC speech, which was over an hour and a half long, he mainly spoke about policy. There were very little, RNC is meant to be a very, vivacious event, as well as the DNC. But this one seemed to just be attacking a candidate. I don't really care if you have problems with Trump or whoever the Republican nominee is. I want to hear what your policy is. And it just seemed that there was very little policy that was elaborated upon for major issues like economy, like immigration, the refugee crisis, what we spoke about in our last conversation, Sree, and more about slamming Trump. That's what I just didn't like.
And to add insult to injury, you have a third candidate whose name is Robert F. Kennedy. Just one second. Robert F. Kennedy, and he happens to be the son of Robert Kennedy, the brother of President John F. Kennedy. In the Kennedy administration, Robert Kennedy was the Attorney General. And it was, I think, in 1967 or 68, sometime around that, he was running for president, and he was assassinated in a hotel in Los Angeles, if I remember correct. The guy's name was Sirhan. And so the Kennedy family has always had this intrigue around it. Anyone who seems to want to run for president doesn't seem to quite succeed. Something happens.
Yep.
And now you had Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the son of Robert Kennedy, and he was running for president. And he was like the independent candidate. He wasn't a Democrat. He wasn't a Republican. And he talks a good talk. You listen to him, you are convinced that his ideas are good, his ideals are good. Now, what I'm hearing, and this has to be proven in the next few hours, what I'm hearing is that he's going to step down in favor of Trump. In other words, he's going to endorse Trump, perhaps on the same stage. And if that happens, that's one more thing that the Democrats have to surmount. And I think it is getting a little bit harder. No matter how much they try to pull in other things, I'm not going to say what other things are. I think this one, is done. My 2 cents. I don't know what you think about it. Well, you are certainly closer to Chicago than I am. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I still feel, Sree, that it depends on. I want to see the candidates go head to head. I mean, we've seen them in their comfort zones, right? Chicago is Obama land. Right, go ahead.
I heard that Kamala Harris has dropped out of the September 4th debate.
She's not comfortable doing the debate because I believe it's on Fox. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could just drop out of debates.
No, I thought that was on ABC.
I legit thought it was mandatory to go on these presidential debates and debate all of them. I didn't know you could say, oh, I just don't want to.
Priyanka, I thought that was on ABC. I didn't know it was on Fox.
I'm not sure. You have to verify.
Yeah.
I can look it up right now.
Let's say that ABC is not Fox, is not CNN. Anyway, so who is checking, right?
It's not surprising that it's on ABC because that was her COVID interview fail, right? I remember being in India for that. And she took an interview on ABC primetime about COVID. And this woman who was vice president, is vice president, I guess, could not give us a single fact as to what America is going through, how many deaths, how many injections, how many jabs, what's going on, what are next steps. She really couldn't say anything. All she said was, oh, it's so sad. And I believe the anchor who was doing that sort of interview with her slammed her. I mean, it was just such an embarrassment. She didn't do any more interviews after that. So I really wouldn't be surprised if it was ABC.
Well, you can walk away like this, and what does it matter, or what does it end in? People are saying that you're going to run away from battle. That's how it looks like. By the way, I'm also told that in the 2016 debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, that Hillary Clinton got the questions ahead of time.
Yes. And he still beat her out. I think. And I believe it essentially comes down to the same thing. I remember that debate. I believe that was where she called Americans deplorables. I think everybody remembered that. But it comes down to, are you going to focus on policy or are you going to focus on just slamming your opponent? Granted, maybe your opponent has a ton of flaws. Granted, maybe what you're saying is true about them. And this goes both ways, whether you're talking about the Democratic or Republican nominee at this point. But you got to focus on policy. I mean, people were more interested at that point when they were going head to head as to what she was going to do. Okay, you're going to be potentially the first female president, but what are you going to do policy-wise that's going to keep the country running? Every answer of hers, I mean, I think she went to everything. Donald Trump's tie color, Donald Trump, getting slammed.
Hair color.
Yeah, it was so bad. And people came out thinking, I can't think of a single thing she said about what she's going to do for the country. That's the problem that people had, both Democrats and Republicans watching it. So people who are voting for Hillary wanted to see what she was going to say as well. She didn't stick with it, and that's what cost her, I think, the entire debate and the election subsequently, right?
Yes, indeed. A small request to all of you to please like this video. I don't know if the notifications went out because I'm seeing less than your usual crowd. So just a request to all of you to like this video, and hopefully that will make it turn viral as we go through some of the more juicier segments of this conversation. Now, DNC Doldrum. Some of them self goals, and some of them, usually these things are organized better, is my 2 cents about it. Like for example, the Muslim Women Caucus said that we are withdrawing support to the Democrat because our voice was not heard. Looks like the Palestinian voice wasn't heard, but the Israeli voice was heard. So this is this is like, I can't say anything else beyond saying that, look, if I don't get it's like a kid in the candy store, right? I'm denied the candy, so I'm not going to come to your store anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of that fallout is going to be. But you tell me what you thought was a good takeaway. Michelle Obama was there. I mean, how many times do you get to see an ex-president's wife come and address the delegation? I didn't see Hillary Clinton do it after Bill Clinton.
Honestly, I thought she was going to endorse herself and be the candidate. I really thought that, because I was like, it's so weird, to have her speak instead of Barack speak up on the stage and endorse Kamala, which they ended up doing. But, I think people were thinking, and I think there were several articles out there on mainstream media that could she be the actual candidate? Because I don't think the Obamas were happy or too happy about Kamala being the candidate or the nominee now for the president from the Democrat Party. What do you think, Sree?
Oh, absolutely. I was also thinking that maybe Michelle will say, I hereby run for president.
Surprise!
I mean, Barack Obama, he has really lowered the prestige of an ex-president. He has been putting his nose in so many things, and he has not even, denied some of his accusations from the media, saying that, look, you shouldn't be doing this, and he doesn't even deny it. By the way, here's a question to the Obamas. How the heck did you make $100 million? Somebody tells me that your mansion alone is worth millions.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get that money? Hello? What did you do before this? I mean, one book can't give you this much money. Trust me, I've written 12.
I was just going to ask, how many have you written, Sree?
So I think all these things is going to be, raked over, because I think Michelle Obama is biding her time. Maybe she'll try the next time around. They have this, unspoken agreement. But by the way, viewers, up until 1960, the president of the United States was, at least in the last 30 years before that, was decided by a group called Tammany Hall, Tammany Hall. This used to be in New York. Dark dungeon cellars, cigarette smoke everywhere, and each of the stakeholders, like the big rich people, they would come and say, my guy, and they will fight amongst each other. Then, okay, fine, this is your guy wins today, but I will come the next time around. That sort of stuff. So television changed that.
Mm-hmm.
The first time you had televised debates was the Nixon versus Kennedy debates. And then people got to know a little bit more about who their president is going to be. And we have not looked back after that. Now with social media, of course, if it was a free and fair social media, you'd get a lot more information. Right now, it is social media with blinkers. Let me put it that way. So before we go on to talk a little bit more about these doldrums, I want to share a video with our viewers, because this is what the US taxpayer is paying today. Just watch this video.
Crisis here in Chicago. So I will tell you right now, I'm a person that lives on the south side of Chicago, and the migrants that have come in, at one point they were coming in, we were feeling very sorry for them because they came in at a time where the weather was cold. So we're seeing all these people in tents and all this and that, but then we find out that they're getting $15,000 in food stamps, $5,000 in cash. I work for a company, which I will not say, that they're able to come in and they're able to get internet and Wi-Fi and all of this for free, because guess what? The government are paying their rent for 2 years. Why is the government paying people that came from another country rent for 2 years? Can we explain that? because it's a housing crisis right now with multiple homeless people on the streets right now that I could follow and show you homeless people that's been living on the streets. So what makes the migrants better from coming to another country that they get all of this? You know why? I'm going to say why. Because we're about to have another presidential election. So,
okay. She was going to say who she was going to vote for. I'm not going to include that. Basically, it's an observation. You said that Chicago is not the Chicago you knew of. Viewers, I have to explain a little thing here called sanctuary city. Some of these Democrat-run cities, Chicago, New York City, San Francisco, Portland, and I think Seattle, these pride themselves as being sanctuary cities. What that means is the INS, the Immigration Naturalization Service, cannot come and haul you away if you don't have citizenship papers or proper papers like proper visa and so on. Okay, so this is where the rot started. And this started in Obama's time. And now what you have is this situation. By the way, people who were holed up in New York City, they waited for 2 years in 5-star hotels. And when they were thrown out, they didn't like it. They didn't like it one bit. So the numbers are very comparable, similar numbers there. So who the heck is paying for all this? You and I, Priyanka. This is our taxpayer dollars that are going towards them. And in the US government is print. But then what happens is at some point of time, there's going to be a surprise. We don't trust the dollar anymore. So see, what the dollar note says is, in God we trust. But what they want you to remember is, in dollar we trust.
Yeah.
And that's under risk right now.
Yeah. And that lady was bang on. I mean, now it's come so close to affecting people in their everyday lives. You know, it was fine to read about it. It was fine to, let everybody in. You know, America is a country where everybody should be. No, what country in the world allows this to happen? Historically, we have always let immigrants in, no matter who the president was, right? Whether it's Obama, whether it's Trump, whether it was anybody in the past. Immigrants, especially from Mexico, have always come into our borders, or through our borders, I should say, because they're important for the economy. Trump in the RNC, I believe he made one line of clarification, which was good. He said that I'm not against all. And I think he was fighting mainstream media on this as well, and some of the false narratives out there. He said, I'm not against all immigration. I'm against illegal immigration. And this lady is actually, it was fine to shout and support it when it didn't hit so close to home. But now, especially on the South Side, which is known for quite a few things, I believe there's a couple of college campuses down there. There's a lot of students down there. There is also a lot of projects down there at the same time. So it's a very interesting sort of side of the city. You get kind of very elite pockets, and you get, housing projects in the next block. So it is a very sort of, I would say, dynamic place, because there's always a lot of activity going on the South Side of Chicago. Now, when it's hitting people close to home, they don't like it, right? Because all of a sudden, these immigrants are sleeping inside of schools, not inside of 5 stars, because it was cold. They have no place to go. There was no plan for them. Now our kids cannot go to school, right? We're paying tax money, but now our kids can't go to school because some immigrants are sleeping over there. Who's going to send their kids to school? So when it started hitting close to home, that's when people, I think, realized. But my question to them is, come on, man, didn't you realize this before? Why didn't you ask these questions before? Where are they going to go? What are they go? Who's going to place them? I believe there was maybe a couple of years ago when they started coming in hordes. There was a scheme in New York saying that we'll pay you a certain amount of money. I think it was $300, $500 if you let an immigrant stay in your house. And most New Yorkers said, no, we don't even trust our friends over here, let alone, some person coming in from some country. Just for $500, if you pay me maybe $3,000, I'll take it. So nobody took to that. They had no plan, and now it's just a big mess, and it's hitting people in their everyday life. This lady was saying, my company pays me so-and-so, but these guys just come in, free access to Wi-Fi, 2 years worth of rent. Give me 2 years worth of rent. When I tried to put an offer or a bid on a home, I had 23 other offers. That's how bad the housing crisis is in Springfield, Illinois. I had 23 other bids. So we got into a bidding war. And Sree, I was outbid by $60,000 cash offer. It's the market is so crazy right now. And it's really tough for, people who are working hard, trying to make ends meet, who have children, who are trying to buy a house, move on in life. It's really hard to see that, someone can just come in and get all of this for free.
Yes, there's a huge difference between working hard and working hardly. So, and viewers, this is where we stand today. And again, there should be a free and fair election. Some SAVE is an act that was passed by the Congress, but the Senate opposed it. I don't know the fate of that bill. That bill would have mandated that proof of citizenship be required before you can vote, and that would have also thrown out all the mail-in votes. You will have to prove that you are a citizen, otherwise they would have to set aside those ballots until, if there is a very close fight, then they may start counting those ballots. Something like that. The SAVE SAVE Act was passed by the House, narrowest of margins, but the Senate said no, and this is where the problem is. Also, there are many state battles still up in the air about what happened in 2020. Arizona and Georgia, in both these places, the lot of allegations that there was fraud, and in both those cases, Trump led till he didn't lead at the very end. So a lot of stuff being asked there. We don't know where that is going to end. I mean, 4 years have already elapsed. Even if they declared Trump the winner, it's like a Pyrrhic victory. So what? 2020 is when he should have been back to power. A lot of problems still. We don't know. We just hope and pray that smooth conduct of elections take place. America prides in its individuality. Each county thinks that I have the best election system in the world. Prove it, guys. Prove it. Those of you who are in those states where it's going to make a difference, prove it. Let's go to the questions now, Priyanka, unless you want to add something.
No, I think you said it. Just prove it. And I think in our last conversation, there are a lot of independent voters. So before, the voters prove it, I'd like to see the candidates prove it. Go head to head. Why is she running away from a debate? Honestly, I didn't think you could do that, actually. I said that before, but I was like, is that even possible, that you can just say no and just not do a presidential debate? Like, historically, all the debates have taken place, right? So why, all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm not doing this one. I'll just do this one. Or I'm not doing that. It's not like a buffet where you can select, right? You're running for president. If there are 4 debates, do all 4 debates, right? If there are 10 debates, do all 10 debates. I don't think that's been perceived positively by anybody, really, whether it's ABC or Fox or whatever channel. I think running away from a debate, at least give the public the reason why, and be honest about it. If you have a reason or a valid reason as to why, maybe they'll understand, but I think that didn't work in her favor. So I would really like, and a lot of these independent voters from these states that you're talking about, Sree, I think they'd really want to see what each candidate talks about in terms of economy, in terms of this immigration and refugee crisis that's going on right now in the big cities. I think, people like the lady that we saw in your video, they really want to see, all right, what's going to be done about this? Because this is impacting my everyday life.
And viewers, there are 2 things that I want you to keep in mind, okay? What you are hearing over airwaves, social media, and other things, that is talk. But also look at the action, starting with why Kamala Harris walked away from a much stronger vice presidential candidate, Shapiro. Then, why is she now walking away from the debate? I'm an independent, but I would like to see a feisty debate. Go at it, guys. Tell us who is better. So, I mean, I would love to have seen these debates.
Yep.
If you don't become a state attorney general of California without having the gift of the gab, I don't know why Kamala Harris is walking away from that. She should love it. I mean, the whole world is her courtroom.
Yep. I have no idea why. That's why I'm like, there's no reason for it. It's just kind of like, I just don't want to do it, which I don't think is right. And had Trump said the same thing, I would have had the same opinion. I mean, if he would have shied down from the debate, I'd be like, why? Like, can you do that? That's not a great thing to do, because you're right. You do get the perception that you're kind of running away from battle, right? That's where you actually go head to head. I mean, it's fine to rile the crowd at a DNC or an RNC. But can you do the same thing and have the same impact when you're going head to head against your opposition or your opposing candidate, I should say?
Let's take some questions now, please. Magnet Ranga wants to know, Priyanka, namaskar. In case of a Trump victory, will it make any difference for Bharat in terms of clandestine interference in internal matters?
I think Trump is better for India. Trump has a lot of support actually from India, just because business-wise, FDI-wise, he brought in a lot of FDI into the country in the 4 years that he was president. I think he also tries very hard to fight this narrative, right? His narrative is very similar to the anti-India narrative that is very prevalent in mainstream media. So a lot of the false narratives, a lot of these clandestine matters or interferences that you spoke about were dispelled just because he was trying to fight the narrative himself as president. So I do think that it would make a difference, just because at this point, global media is also going broke, right? Most of the mainstream media platforms don't have as much money as they once did. So they're going to go according to what narrative is going to unfortunately get them more likes, more engagement, more whatever. I think Trump has a good leverage because I've seen more articles now in mainstream media that actually are very neutral, very objective, that talk about his policies, talk about the work he's done, rather than just character assassinate them. And they've also been several, I think, articles, I'm not sure if it was NYT or Economist, but a couple of them that I read recently also slammed Kamala for, just not wanting to debate. So I was actually surprised to see those kind of articles because I'd never seen them there before, portraying the information that they had. So I do think if Trump comes in, it will make a difference in terms of both mainstream media, in terms of clandestine interference, at least what is portrayed on, these global platforms. Internal matters, I think he's very good for business, much better than historically. I think the Republican candidate has always been much better for business than the Democratic one, especially over the last, I would say, a lot of, I don't know, Sree, if you went to India when Obama was president, but everyone was so enamored by Obama because he is such a great speaker. But, at the end of it, after
take away the teleprompter, not so much.
But after the 8 years, a lot of Indians' perceptions in India, but I'm not Indian Americans, but in India, they actually said he actually did nothing for our country. So, it's, as you said before, don't look at the narrative that's being portrayed. Look at what's going on the ground.
And Rangaji, one thing that I think Trump will attempt to do is to try and get control over the 15 million to 8 million illegals that have come into the United States. I'll tell you what, I mean, having lived in the country for many, many years now, the border extends from Western California all the way up to Florida. And in this, Mexico is common up for, I think, 7 or 8 states. That would be like 2,500 miles. And in that, 1,000+ miles is one river separating the two countries called Rio Grande. Now, what can be done? Because you can't fly all these people back to their own native countries, because they will say, I'm not going to show you my papers. Kaagaz nahi dikhayenge. Same thing will happen in US also. What is possible, and I think this is something that is workable if the Trump administration puts its mind to it, is what you do is identify the illegals and build some sort of area on outside of United States, build enclaves there, and then find out what you can do with the people there. How many are actually useful for the United States? Find out a way to match supply and demand, and supply, train them for what the demand is, and whoever qualifies, give them work visas. They don't get to vote. They just get work visas. You have to create that work visa and see if that can be done, because otherwise you're going to throw a lot more money just to deport these people, and America cannot afford that. I'll give you another example, which is so sad, Priyanka. Trump had planned 20-foot iron walls, 20-foot tall iron walls. I mean, it is 20 foot above the ground. You can imagine, to support a 20-foot wall above the ground, you'll have to go 10 feet inside.
Yeah.
So these huge steel plates, they were bought, and then the administration changed, and the Biden administration did nothing about it. And after some time, these iron unused plates were sold for scrap value, like cents on the dollar, to the same people who sold them. I mean, and now what will happen, I'll tell you. Again, the new Trump administration will buy them back from them. I mean, making money hand over fist. This is what it is, guys. This is how a certain guy called Ross Perot ended up charging $700 per toilet seat, something that you would get for $6.99 in Home Depot today. And this is about 40 years ago or 30 years ago. This is how money gets wasted in the United States. Just wanted to make a point here.
$700 per toilet seat. I cannot believe that. $700 per toilet.
Yes.
It may be $50 now, though, not $6.99, just because of inflation. So it may be
just a toilet seat. I'm not talking about a toilet, just the toilet round thing.
Just the toilet seat. If you go on Amazon, I challenge the viewers. If you go on Amazon, you will not find a toilet seat for $6.99 anymore. Those days are gone, Sree, in America. I think you'll find it for at least $50, $60, but still nowhere close to $700. I didn't even know that.
Okay, next question, please. Anand Gopal and Kidambi wants to know, this is for both of us, will 2024 US election be fought without caring for its security? With 3 months to go, how will the security of its leaders be ensured?
Sree, you want to take it?
Anand Gopalanji, United States has, I think, one of the highest per capita gun ownership. Outside the cities, even in some cities, people own a lot of guns, and every year they buy two, three. So they are loaded. And if one cranky guy decides that he's going to take out the president, I mean, it's going to be difficult. At the same time, like what Trump did, don't spend too much time in the open. Make sure that you are in a well-protected area. Be judicious as to where you meet. And if you have to handshake with people, be sure that they are thoroughly frisked before they are let in. So things like that. But if somebody were to drop a bomb in like a hotel where, in a restaurant where you usually have this, coffee and donuts meeting. Presidents are known to do this thing. And if something like that happens, God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen like that. But this is a real, clear and present danger. China would love to not have Trump as the president of the United States. And China has penetrated deep into the United States. And that to me is the biggest fear, because they would do it in a much more diabolical way. Let's hope and pray that it doesn't happen. Next one, please. Satvidya wants to know, what do you think of the expectant and eager blessings from some of the media in Bharat towards Kamala and Obama? E.g., Sun TV and TN is reporting on DNC convention. Is this ignorance or complicity?
It's definitely not ignorance. I think that it is, all channels, as you know, they slant a certain way. They're going to report what they want to report. It's like watching NBC here and expect, you're not going to expect anything pro-Trump. And watching Fox, you're not going to expect anything pro-Kamala, right? So I think they are very intentional, I should say. Sun TV, I guess you've given this example. They're very intentional on their reporting. The fact that you identify it as ignorance, Satvidyaji, is a fantastic thing. It's just a prime example of what Sree was saying before, that don't believe everything that you see on TV or what you read in the news. You got to go and see the reality for yourself. So it shows, Satvidyaji, that you are you're probably very aware of what's going on, the reality of the situation. So kudos to you.
Somebody did a quick check on what is, can you have 1 second? Can I have the screen, please? Yeah. Somebody did a quick check on how much a toilet seat costs.
Oh man.
Srinivasa Rao, I think this is the toilet seat cover,
That's
not the seat
cover,
itself.
not the seat.
Yeah. So I think this may be a little bit misleading. I just wanted to point it out.
Challenge is
Let's go to the
still
next.
on. The challenge is still on. It costs. I'm telling you, I was shocked by the prices because I was looking for a toilet seat the other day. Mine has become loose, so I had to look up, and Amazon had them for like $100, $50. I couldn't. If you find something for $6.99, please send it my way. Viewers, if you're looking at it, please send it my way.
Next one, please. Maithili RN wants to know, Sreeji, $20,000 have been taken away from the taxpayers' money. Why no protest? Will Trump do away with this? This is talking about the illegal immigrants, $15,000 food stamps and $5,000 per person cash. Maithili ji, I don't know the answer to this. Once you have got them inside, you will have to feed them. There are kitchens now. In fact, I was surprised. I have to say this thing. Viewers, I go biking in and around my area. And there are places where a particular day of the week, I think 10 o'clock, they bring you these food things. Like, for example, stuff that you can go home, microwave and make a meal out of, that sort of stuff, desiccated stuff. And it's like a bag. And these are all from voluntary organizations. And one day I happened to go across a place where the line was forming. The line was forming of people who are in a middle-class neighborhood, Priyanka. We are not talking about inner city here. We're talking about middle-class neighborhood. People were lining up. I mean, these are like, noodles. The packet of noodles, Kraft noodles, the one that we always see, something that you can just put it in hot water and add a little bit of milk. Kids love that kind of stuff, things like that.
Well, I'm telling you, the lady that you showed before in that TikTok video, she'll probably be lining up. I mean, she works hard. She works in a company every day. She's trying to make ends meet. Now we're going to, a middle-class family goes to McDonald's. I guess a family of 4, they'll end up spending $50 at McDonald's. So it's insane. Did we get it?
Jump on this. There is a clearance for 8 cents. You're getting toilet seat.
Send the link.
Srinivasa Rao Garu, please send the link.
Please send the link.
Also from Amazon, please send the link. Please. Someone's looking for a toilet seat. Next question, please. Oh, I think that we are done with the questions. So
right.
Thank you, viewers. We would like to see more appreciation from you all, because Priyanka is such an accomplished guest. She has been, a professional TV announcer, TV host. She has done a lot of programs, many programs under her belt, especially in, where people are like one breath away from taking punches at each other in debates in India.
This is true. The camera blocked it though, so it was okay. Stick the camera in front of your face, you'll be good.
So again, congratulations, Priyanka, on your promotion, and I hope that you will still find time to be on our program and regale our viewers with what's happening in and around Chicago and Illinois. Thank you once again. Namaskar.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I hope to continue. I hope you enjoyed the show, guys, and please send the link of that toilet seat cover. I'm serious. I really want one. Namaste, everyone.
The minimum you are looking at $15.
That's still not bad. You can send that link too.
That's still not bad, right?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaste.
Thank you.